Okay, so in today's video we're going to build a light stand for her to start her seedlings under. We changed this light fixture was on the kitchen ceiling and we didn't like the looks of it. It didn't provide any good lighting. The light was all shining straight down from the fixture. So unless you were working directly underneath it, you were always in the shadows. So we went to Habitat for Humanity and we bought a halogen light fixture. It's got 6 bulbs on it so you can angle the sockets and stuff where you want to direct your light to. It looks far better, provides much more lighting. So that worked out good. So as we like to reuse stuff rather than just throw it away, she needs a stand with a couple of lights in it to get seedlings started under for the garden. So we already had a second fixture laying around. So we've got 2 light fixtures now. We need to disassemble the rest of this one and get rid of the wooden frame and everything on it. We've got some more scrap wood from crates at work. That's from crates. Some old shelving materials, just particle board with the veneer wood grain over it. So that's all we have for scraps right now for material. So we're going to see if we can put together a stand, 2 shelves, 2 lights, hang the lights on chains so she can adjust the height of those as she needs to when the plants grow. I should have done a video on changing the light. As I suspected, it wasn't just going to be take one down, put one up. There was numerous holes in the ceiling underneath this where they poked nails or something through to try and find the ceiling joist to attach this to. It's not the same color. The ceiling needs to be painted now. And the electrical that they had done was dangerous. They had just brought a wire over from a junction box from another light in the kitchen, punched a hole through the drywall, brought the wire through right into the light. No boxes, no protection on the wire where it was rubbing on the metal hole in the edge of this light going through. So we had to go up in the attic, put the proper electrical box in, do the wiring right. So it turned out to be much more than just taking the light down, putting one up, which I suspected it would have anyhow. So this has to come apart. They've just screwed it right into the edge of the wooden box. I've already got the bulbs out of it so they're not in my way in here. They've got a hex head wood screw in here, so I'm just using a ratchet and a 1/4-inch socket to take them out. Okay, so there's our other light fixture that we're going to end up using. So we'll figure out how we're going to build the wooden portion of this thing, and then we'll get some lights mounted in it. I need to do some electrical because I don't have a plug on this light now, so we need to do that and get a plug put on it so it'll be plugged in. We'll see what we end up with. Alright, well, we've had some good luck with our plant stand here. We've used up almost all of the scrap wood that we had. I've already got one light mounted in it. This is the one that we needed to do some electrical on, put a plug into it and stuff. So we're about to do that now. So we've got a, I don't know what you call these connectors, but it's going to stop the wire from wiggling around and moving around and getting cut and stuff like that when it's in the through the metal. That's all for that. Ground wire. We don't have the screwdriver for it. When you're putting wires on terminals around screws, always wrap the wire around it clockwise. So as you tighten the screws up, it's going to pull the wire in tighter underneath it rather than pushing the wires outward. I always use morettes when I'm connecting wires rather than relying on tape alone. I just don't like the idea of using strictly just tape. So always put the morettes on, give the wires a little bit of a tug, make sure that they're actually in there, they're not going to fall out. And then I add some tape just to keep them all together. Good. So that does that side of the light. And we still have to wire up the plug. I've already attached the ground wire in here already. Same thing, just a little bit of a hook in the end of the wire, clockwise direction on that screw so that as you're tightening the screw, it's not going to force the wires out from underneath it. Now, I didn't have to tie any knot in these wires in this one. Normally you would, depending on the plug type that you have, so that if somebody yanked on the cord, it's not pulling those actual wires. But this one has a clamp on it that it's going to pinch down tight on anyhow. So if somebody yanked on it, it's not pulling on the actual wires on the socket itself. So she wanted these lights adjustable for height as the plants grow. She can move the lights up away from the lights. And I had some chain around that I got it someplace over the years. She's always accused me of being a pack rat collecting stuff that we never use. Eventually I do find a use for it. So the chain I got used on that light already. I put one short one on this end. I still have to attach one on this end. You can put them on with screws, little nuts and bolts, pop rivets. I had some pop rivets around here from bodywork that I had done on a car. So I just went ahead and used those. We had to get a little bit creative with that wood that we had. This light is 48 inches in length. The other light that I had is 49 inches in length. And none of the wood that I had was more than 48. So we had to get a little bit creative to make it work, but we did it. That's done. And I've already put the chains inside of there. We're just going to plug these into an extension cord afterwards. I'm going to put the bulbs in here first because it'll be easier to do now. There we have it. So the lights, she can use the chain, just an S hook on here with a straight piece, an S hook on the end, and one that comes over top of the light. So she can raise that up to wherever she needs it as the plants grow. And of course you lift the other end too to keep it level. So you're good there for maybe 4 inches of actual plant height. You might get another inch out of that chain yet, and that's going to be it. So there's our plant stand, or sorry, the plant light stand that's completed. We've got the chains hanging so she can adjust the height of the light. It's just an S hook on the end of the chain that she can adjust herself. This one's limited to maybe that height. And if you have your plants in there, so you're going to get 4 or 5 inches out of your plants before you run out of height on that light. The top one, the same thing. As far as the chain, you're going to run out at 4 or 5 inches. And if you've got maybe tomato plants or something, depending on how long you have to wait to actually get them out in the garden. Last year it was very wet, and we ended up having to wait quite a while before we could start the garden. So if they have to stay in here longer and they start to grow too high for these lights, the top shelf, we designed it a little bit differently with the plastic clips that you would use for bookshelves. So you drill a hole in the wood for that piece and your shelf would sit on top of here. So I drilled holes in the outside end of this, so if the light won't go high enough on the chain, we can put these in, and I've done 4 holes 2 inches apart. There's 1 set of holes below that, there's 2 more above that yet, so you've got another whole range of adjusting the height of that light again. So you can get quite a variety of heights out of that depending on what you're going to need. And it's easy enough, she can do that herself if she has to. So out of all the scrap wood we had, we used almost all of it up. The plywood that we had for the sides is only 10 inches. It was kind of tipsy front and back, so we had another short piece of plywood. We cut about 14 inches wide and just rounded it off on the bottom here, so it gave it a wider platform so it's not tippy anymore. But that looks like it's going to work well. So that's the end of our video for the light stand. Hopefully you found something useful out of that for yourself. Stay tuned for more stuff. Thank you for watching.